Diddy's empire is crumbling as shocking new footage, explosive lawsuits, and a brutal documentary threaten to end his reign for good, from disturbing allegations to a full-blown FBI raid. The truth is finally coming to light. Stick around, we're breaking down the fall of one of music's most powerful moguls. Over the past several months, Diddy, real name Sean Combs, has been hit with a series of lawsuits that have shaken the industry to its core. These aren't just civil claims or minor disputes. They include serious accusations involving abuse, manipulation, and power dynamics that span decades. And just when the public began to question whether the headlines would slow down, things escalated dramatically. Now, new footage has surfaced allegedly showing Diddy physically assaulting his former partner Cassie. The video, though not yet verified by all outlets, has already spread like wildfire across social media, reigniting conversations about past allegations and drawing outrage from fans, critics, and celebrities alike. For many, the clip is not just disturbing, it's a visual turning point that's making it impossible to separate Diddy, the mogul, from Diddy, the accused, for years. Diddy was seen as bulletproof. He was the business mastermind behind Bad Boy Records, the face of luxury branding, and a media icon with deep ties in both music and Hollywood. He rubbed shoulders with presidents, launched billion-dollar brands, and was celebrated as a success story in every sense. But now, all of that is beginning to crumble, and the empire he built is under siege from all directions. As more people come forward and as court documents continue to surface, public trust in Diddy has taken a massive hit. Once known for his charm and ambition, he's now being re-examined through a much darker lens. Behind the designer suits and flashy lifestyle, people are asking, who is the real Sean Combs? This story isn't just about one celebrity's fall from grace, it's about the culture of silence and power that allowed this behavior to go unchecked for so long. As the case against Diddy grows stronger, so do the questions about the people and systems that may have enabled him. The most explosive development in the unraveling of Diddy's legacy comes in the form of newly released surveillance footage reportedly obtained and aired by CNN that has left the public stunned. The video allegedly shows Diddy physically assaulting singer Cassie, his former partner, in what many are calling a deeply disturbing and hard-to-watch moment. While the footage has not been fully verified by all sources, its emotional weight is undeniable. Commentators have described the scene as chilling, with Cassie appearing visibly distressed, and Diddy acting in a way that aligns uncomfortably with the long-standing rumors about his controlling behavior. The video has added a new layer of gravity to the conversation, one that goes beyond headlines and into something painfully real. For years, Cassie has remained relatively silent about her past with Diddy, but those close to her have hinted at emotional abuse and manipulation. Now, with this footage entering the public narrative, it's no longer just her word or court filings. There's visual evidence that many believe confirms what she and others have alleged all along. The release of this video has sparked a firestorm across social media, with fans, advocates, and celebrities demanding accountability. Hashtags are trending. Public opinion is shifting rapidly, and the industry is beginning to distance itself from a man once considered untouchable. This moment isn't just about Diddy, it's about a reckoning, about how power, fame, and influence have shielded alleged abusers for decades. And for many, this video marks a breaking point, as if the recent video footage weren't alarming enough. Deeper layers of Diddy's alleged misconduct are now coming to light, and they are even more disturbing. Recent lawsuits have revealed shocking accounts of private parties, referred to as freak-offs, a term used to describe secretive, invite-only events hosted by Diddy himself. According to multiple lawsuits, these gatherings weren't just wild celebrity parties. They were allegedly scenes of abuse, manipulation, and outright exploitation. Victims claim they were lured in under the guise of industry opportunities, only to be drugged, coerced into sex acts, and in some cases, physically assaulted. Some even allege that hidden cameras were used to film encounters without their consent, turning these private horrors into something even more sinister. Many of the accusations paint a picture of Diddy as someone who used his fame and influence to control those around him, especially young women trying to break into the industry. Victims describe being passed out from substances they didn't knowingly take, only to wake up confused, violated, and powerless. One chilling detail that continues to resurface is the meaning behind his longtime nickname, Puffy. While many assumed it was just a harmless stage name, some insiders claim it's tied to his explosive temper. Multiple accounts describe Diddy as someone who would huff and puff in rage when challenged, creating a threatening atmosphere that left people too afraid to speak up or push back. These stories combined with the now public video involving Cassie are forming a disturbing pattern, one that suggests the allegations are far from isolated incidents. They reveal a world behind closed doors where power was abused, people were silenced, and trauma was buried. This isn't just celebrity gossip, these are serious allegations with potential criminal implications. And as more lawsuits emerge, more survivors are speaking out, and the mask Diddy wore for decades continues to slip as more people step forward. The picture of Diddy's alleged behavior is becoming clearer and more troubling. These aren't just one-off claims. Multiple individuals from different backgrounds and time periods are sharing stories that form a disturbing and consistent narrative, one of manipulation, control, and emotional abuse. Adria English, who attended several private parties hosted by Diddy, says what started as glamorous invitations quickly turned dark. Each gathering, she claims, became progressively more disturbing, where the energy shifted from exclusive to exploitative. Adria described feeling used, objectified, and silenced, saying the parties were far more sinister than they were ever luxurious. Then there's April Lampros, a model and actress whose story hits on a deeply personal violation being filmed without consent. She says Diddy recorded her in private moments without her knowledge, calling it a betrayal of trust and a violation of her basic right to privacy. April's testimony supports broader allegations that Diddy blurred, if not completely ignored, boundaries in his pursuit of control. Rodney Lil Rod Jones, a former music associate, paints a different but equally disturbing picture, one of professional suffocation. He claims Diddy maintained a toxic grip over every detail of their work together. Collaboration, according to Lil Rod, didn't exist. It was Diddy's way or no way at all, leaving him feeling powerless and creatively stifled. Joy Dickerson, a professional acquaintance in the business world, adds yet another layer. She describes being repeatedly belittled and disrespected in meetings and work environments, saying that Diddy refused to treat her as an equal. Despite her qualifications, she felt dismissed, talked over, and strategically minimized. Together, these stories paint a compelling and consistent portrait not of a one-time incident or misunderstood personality, but of a long-term pattern of emotional manipulation, power abuse, and psychological control. These testimonies can't be ignored. They're not gossip. They're first-hand accounts from people who say they were caught in Diddy's orbit and deeply affected by it. One of the most chilling revelations in this entire saga comes from a woman known only as Jane Doe, an anonymous accuser whose lawsuit may prove to be one of the most damaging yet against Diddy. Her identity remains protected, but her allegations are anything but vague. In her ongoing legal case, Jane Doe accuses Diddy of subjecting her to years of emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. What makes this particular case so disturbing isn't just the scope of the abuse she describes, it's the calculated nature of it. According to her legal filings, Diddy allegedly used manipulation, threats, and psychological control to keep her silent and compliant. She claims she was isolated, gaslit, and coerced into staying in a toxic and dangerous environment with no clear way out. Even more unsettling is how closely her story aligns with those of others who've come forward. The patterns controlling behavior, intimidation, non-consensual acts, and emotional domination are strikingly consistent. Though her lawsuit is still making its way through the courts, her voice has already catalyzed a deeper public and legal examination into Diddy's behavior over the years. It's not just one person making claims anymore, it's a chorus. A growing list of victims and insiders telling similar stories from different times and places, but all describing the same kind of abuse. This isn't about one lawsuit. It's about a potential decades-long pattern of exploitation by one of the most powerful figures in entertainment. Jane Doe's courage to speak up may have opened the floodgates. And as more people feel empowered to share their experiences, the pressure on Diddy continues to build. While Diddy has faced multiple allegations from various individuals over the years, many are pointing to one key moment that set everything in motion: Cassie's departure in 2018. Their breakup didn't just end a long-term relationship, it appears to have quietly ignited a wave of behind-the-scenes disclosures that would eventually explode into the public eye. According to sources close to the situation, Cassie allegedly began opening up to people around her about the true nature of her relationship with Diddy. What she shared wasn't just the story of a difficult breakup, it was a deeply troubling account of manipulation, emotional control, and mental abuse. Her experiences painted a very different picture from the polished, glamorous narrative the public had always seen. Cassie's exit is now widely viewed as the turning point, the moment Diddy's carefully crafted image began to crack. Up until then, he was seen as untouchable, a music mogul, fashion icon, and cultural tastemaker. But after Cassie walked away, the questions started rolling in, and the silence that had surrounded Diddy's Diddy's darker behavior began to break. What followed was a ripple effect. Her quiet strength inspired others' victims, associates, industry, insiders to speak out about their own experiences. Cassie may not have intended to take down an empire, but her decision to walk away and tell the truth became the catalyst for what's now being called one of the most dramatic downfalls in modern entertainment history. In many ways, Cassie didn't just leave a relationship, she lit the match that exposed the shadowy side of Diddy's empire, and now the fire is still burning. For years, Diddy's white parties were the stuff of Hollywood legend exclusive. Star-studded events were the biggest names in music, film, and fashion gathered under the glow of luxury, champagne, and carefully curated aesthetics. These parties weren't just about celebration, they were a statement. If you got an invite, you had officially made it. But now, in light of the growing scandal surrounding Diddy, people are starting to ask, were these parties about glamour or something far more sinister? In this new context, former attendees and unnamed sources are re-examining what really went on behind the velvet ropes. According to these insider accounts, the white parties may have served as more than just glitzy get-togethers. They were strategic power plays. Diddy allegedly used these events to assert dominance, both socially and professionally, placing himself at the center of a carefully controlled environment. Sources claim that guests were often closely monitored, with certain attendees receiving extra attention or subtle pressure to conform, engage, or participate in ways that weren't always transparent. Some now believe that not everyone was invited to celebrate. Some were brought in for more questionable purposes and weren't fully aware of what they were stepping into. What was once glamorized in the media with magazines fawning over who wore what and which celebrity made a surprise appearance is now being reinterpreted as the possible backdrop for manipulation and exploitation. And as more allegations surface, the glittering image of these events is beginning to tarnish. Were Diddy's white parties truly the peak of celebrity culture, or were they a carefully veiled tool for grooming and control? That's the question now being asked, and one that may play a major role in how Diddy's legacy is ultimately remembered. A major turning point in the unraveling of Diddy's empire came when law enforcement carried out a full-scale raid on his $40 million Los Angeles mansion. This wasn't some symbolic, made-for-headlines moment. It was a serious, targeted operation aimed at uncovering hard evidence to support a growing web of allegations. Authorities weren't just browsing, they came with a mission. According to sources close to the investigation, law enforcement was specifically looking for recordings, documents, controlled substances, and any physical proof that could corroborate the disturbing claims made by alleged victims. They were also seeking evidence of threats, coercion, and manipulation, the very tactics described in numerous lawsuits. For a man who spent decades crafting an image of total control both in his career and personal life, the raid marked a massive shift in power. It was no longer Diddy calling the shots. For the first time, the system he once seemed untouchable by was knocking directly at his door with a warrant. The video frames this moment as Diddy's reckoning the point where speculation collided with action. His fortress of fame, influence, and luxury was now under legal siege, and there was no spinning it, no controlling the narrative. Footage of law enforcement at the gates of his estate sent shockwaves across the internet. Fans, critics, and media outlets alike watched in real time as the curtain was pulled back on a man who had once stood at the top of the entertainment world. Just when you thought things couldn't get more intense. 50 Cent has entered the chat, and he's not playing games. The rapper, mogul, and media powerhouse is now producing a Netflix documentary centered entirely on the growing list of allegations against Diddy. And if there's one thing we know about 50 Cent, it's that he doesn't hold back. Known for his aggressive, no-filter persona, 50 has made it clear he's coming with receipts. He's actively recruiting alleged victims, insiders, and anyone with direct knowledge of Diddy's behavior, promising to shine a light on the stories that have been buried or silenced for years. The documentary is expected to feature first-hand accounts, exclusive interviews with industry insiders, and testimonies from alleged victims, all aiming to expose what 50 calls the dark side of Diddy's empire. This isn't just another documentary, it's being positioned as a bombshell, potentially packed with details that could change public opinion even further and ramp up legal pressure. With 50 Cent behind it, the project is already drawing massive attention. His track record in both entertainment and business gives the documentary instant credibility, and his unapologetic style ensures that no topic will be off limits. This isn't a puff piece, it's a takedown. The timing couldn't be more crucial. As lawsuits mount and law enforcement ramps up investigations, this documentary could be the catalyst that accelerates Diddy's downfall legally, professionally, And publicly, what we're witnessing right now is nothing short of an empire in free fall. Diddy, once one of the most powerful forces in music, fashion, and entertainment, is watching his influence unravel in real time, with a growing mountain of lawsuits, public backlash, explosive video evidence, and now a high-profile documentary led by 50 Cent. The control he once held over his image in the industry may be slipping away for good. For decades, the whispers were there rumors, stories, speculation, but nothing ever stuck. Now, those whispers have become a full-blown public reckoning, and the world is watching as one of the biggest moguls in entertainment history faces the consequences of what many are calling a long overdue moment of truth. So the question now isn't just about whether Diddy can recover, it's whether his empire was ever built on solid ground to begin with.